What's up guys, War History Geek here, and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than usual. Today we're going to be talking about original World War II German toilet paper. Now that sounds a little bit like a joke, and it kind of is in a way, but surprisingly, there has been a growing number of toilet paper fakes in the hobby that people will buy and spend $50 to $100 on a roll that's been completely fabricated. Again, as silly as that sounds, yes, there's people spending $50 to $100 on a roll of toilet paper. And I just thought that this was insane. So I managed at one point to get my hands on a couple of rolls of genuine original toilet paper from that era, from Germany. And I'm going to make a video about that for you guys to see if anybody maybe has a fake or what to avoid if you do want to get an original roll of toilet paper from the Second World War for a display or a reenactment or something. So for starters, we can go into, a little bit of basic history here. So toilet paper has existed for centuries, but the modern commercially available toilet paper wasn't until 1857 when Joseph Gatti of New York began selling the medicated paper for the water closet, and it was sold in packs of 500 sheets. So this was before they even started selling toilet paper in rolls. It was just packs of sheets, almost like tissues in a way. But it was medicated a lot of times with aloe to soothe. Different forms of the individual sheets and medicated paper were sold all the way until the 1880s, until the Scott Paper Company, founded in 1879, introduced the first paper rolls in 1890. So about the late 1880s is when you start to see the transition from those boxes of sheets of toilet paper to the rolls in 1890. However, in 1871, Zeth Wheeler patented rolled and perforated toilet paper. So the idea had already existed for a number of decades, but it wasn't until 1890 with the Scott Paper Company that that idea finally came to fruition. And to give a little bit of details on Zeth Wheeler, in 1877 he founded the Albany Perforated Wrapping Paper Company and began selling his rolled and perforated toilet paper in 1897. So the reason he was able to come up with that is that he was already used to selling rolled paper in the form of wrapping paper, but he came up with the idea of rolled toilet paper. However, the Scott Paper Company beat him to it. Now in 1928, the German Hans Klenk became the first seller of paper rolls in Europe. So rolled toilet paper was pretty much an American thing all the way until the 20th century. And in 1935, the Northern Tissue invented splinter-free toilet paper. So going into the Second World War, that's when we saw the first splinter-free paper where it's smooth like we know today. And the cardboard tube wasn't introduced, or was first introduced in the 1890s, but wasn't standard around the world until the 1990s. So it's pretty incredible to think. And most of the time, that's because of third world countries. And then you also have, for instance, like the Soviet Union, which we'll get into in a little bit. But anyway, so when it comes to the fakes, since the 1990s, there's been loads of fake fantasy German soldier personal items, which have just flooded the market. And, it goes anywhere from razors to cigarettes, bunker candles, frostbite ointment, leather grease, pipes, combs, buttons, and it goes on and on. And it's mostly because not only are they easy to produce, but they're not incredibly well documented from the Second World War either. A lot of the times, soldiers would use personal items from homes, so civilian available items, and there is a select number of military-issued items. However, it's just so undocumented still to this day that there's no standard, so a lot of times people will create all kinds of fantasy items, and there's just no easy way to disprove it. So to give you a couple examples of just terrible fakes that are available on the market right now, for instance, you have this World War supply SS and Wehr toilet paper, which is a total fake and fantasy based on nothing real and will only make, as they describe it, your reenacting camp. It will only make your camp look terrible and only contribute to the scam that is these fake toilet paper rolls. So, you know, it amazes me that somebody will slap SS onto a roll of toilet paper and people will buy it. But anyway, the next one you have is like the most famous by far fake toilet paper is the Edelweiss brand by Wehrmacht Pakun. It's garbage. You can find this crap at just about every show, auction, and questionable dealer out there. And you know, when it comes to auctions, it's a lot of the times out of a lack of knowledge or care for checking if they're original, since they're going to be getting a kickback from the auction anyway. For instance, you have private collections, .ca, lots of fakes on there. You even have the good old Tom Whitman with Whitman's Militaria, and you know, he's become aged in the years. And then you also have the meme of a dealer, Walter Konsler, to name a couple examples of people who have sold this crap. And in reality, the range of products marked with the Wehrmacht Pakun is small and have been documented by collectors for a long time. And this is not on that list. This is completely fake, completely fabricated in fantasy. It never existed. And as I just said, most personal items were used by German soldiers, which were commercially available products such as razors, matches, lighters, combs, toothbrushes, etc. It's something they would have brought from home, and you know, that's that. Now, some items were in fact marketed directly to soldiers, such as tins for cleaning or cleaning brushes, as well as personal hygiene kits that could fit inside a mess tin. And again, those were available on the civilian market, but they were directly marketed towards German soldiers. But then you also have the items actually made for military contracts, which often were unlabeled and were shipped in boxes or crates that were identified by the contents and had military markings. So again, relatively civilian available items. It might be a private government contract with the German military, but the items themselves were almost never marked. They were always within a crate that was marked. So technically they did exist, just they were never marked. There were, of course, some exceptions to these rules, but this stands true for the vast majority of products used by soldiers in the German military during the Second World War. So now let's move on to the real thing. So with what I've stated in mind, some good examples include this roll of service brand toilet paper, which from what I can tell was a civilian brand at the time, and that's on Stahlhelm Military. So just an interesting thing there, civilian brand. You can tell it's not military contracted, but it's something that it's very possible that German soldiers would have had at the time. Next, you have the Westphalia roll, excuse me, on Bunker Militaria, which I can't find the brand for, but based on the characteristics of this example, it's safe to assume that it's another civilian brand. And then lastly, you have the unbranded rolls from War's End Shop, which he claims was found in Germany, which is what I have, and is probably the closest you'll get to what the German military actually had during World War II. You can get the civilian the civilian available brands. However, like I was saying earlier, government contracts were producing items in bulk, shipping them in crates marked, but then none of the items inside were marked. So this right here I got from War's End Shop, and this is going to be the closest you'll get to a period-correct roll of German military toilet paper. You can see it doesn't have the cardboard roll in the center, which was, again, not widely used around the world until the 90s, but also just to save material, it makes sense not to put cardboard in there. And you can kind of picture, if you want to know what it feels like, picture the crepe party streamers. That is what this feels like. I mean, I can't imagine ever using this. It would probably feel like sandpaper trying to use this after going to the bathroom. But it is just a cool little thing. I picked it up for very cheap. I thought it was okay. But yeah, I'm glad to say that I have actual examples of toilet paper in my collection. So if you want to get your own example of original German toilet paper, War's End Shop is the place to go. I highly recommend it. This is going to be as accurate as you can possibly get. It's also very affordable. Unlike the Edelweiss toilet paper, they're charging $100 for a roll. But I guess while we're on this topic, it won't hurt to go into other nations' toilet paper as well. So you had the U.S., which in many cases you had unbranded flat folded sheets of toilet paper that were included in rations. But other examples included the Waldorf branded flat sheets or flattened rolls. And again, that's just another example for shipping, of course, since it wasn't being fought in the United States, it was being fought in Europe or in the Pacific. They had to ship it. So to save as much space as possible, they were going to be flattening rolls or issuing them in flat sheets. Now in the UK, the British had a similar system with the flat stacks and rolls, and I have a picture here. I couldn't find really any information about World War II era UK toilet paper. However, this box was discovered inside a home in the UK, which I'm sure was just about as similar as you can get. And then the USSR is actually pretty interesting. So due to the scarcity, the Soviets didn't have toilet paper at all until 1968, except for trace amounts produced for the Soviet leaders and ruling elite starting in 1940. So from 1940 to 1968, it was the vast minority, the top percentage of people in the Soviet Union that had access to toilet paper. Otherwise, they were still far behind in that terms of development with toilet paper. So, and then interestingly, a common account from soldiers of every nation, so both Allied and Axis, were those that had toilet paper said that it was often used to clean their firearms. Now, I can't speak to the validity of this claim. I've read it as a account on many different forums and resources. However, it's possible. I mean, it would make sense. The soldiers would be making use of everything they have, and it's easier to use throwaway toilet paper to clean your guns than it is, like a cloth or something that you have to carry around and get rid of. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is true. It definitely seems plausible, but I thought that would be an interesting tidbit to include. So that's all for this video. It was just a short, kind of a different video. As I said, I just thought it was crazy that such little research had been done on this topic that people are spending up to $100 on a roll of completely fake toilet paper. So that's all for this video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to hit the like button, and when you're in that area, hit the subscription button and notification bell. I have plenty of other videos coming in the near future just like this, so stay tuned for that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!